Good morning. Welcome to the Windsor Star News Cafe. I'm Don MacArthur here with Dylan Christie and our special guest, Marty Adler, a CBC broadcaster, former CBC broadcaster, and a mayoral candidate in Amherstburg. Welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot for having. I was really looking forward to this because you know what? You asked some tough questions, and boy, it's got me nervous.
You were looking forward to this, or you're still looking forward to this?
I'm still looking forward to it because you know I need a little stimulation in the morning.
All right. Well, let's.
We have coffee here at the News
That's
Cafe.
right.
No, I think I'd rather be stimulated by you guys than a cup of coffee.
Perfect. Okay. Well, it's no secret that things are kind of a fiscal mess in Amherstburg right now. Is that what inspired you to run for the top seat? What was it that made you decide to jump into this race?
Why did I decide to run? Well, actually, it started back when I moved to Amherstburg back in 2006. Now, I'm a guy that comes from a business world, a media world, and a marketing world. And back in 2006, when I first built my house in Amherstburg, I was asked to go to a marketing meeting in Amherstburg. And there were some big players in town at this marketing meeting. And my first question to them was, what would you like Amherstburg to be? Mm-hmm. And nobody had an answer. Did you want it to be like a tourist attraction, a tourist center, much like Niagara on the Lake? Did you want it to be a bedroom community of Windsor? Did you want it to, what exactly did you want it? They didn't have an answer. Wow. So after that was over, actually, the people that were there, they were there for their own purposes. One was a man that had an internet business. He wanted to put Amherstburg up on the net. Another person had a sign company. They wanted to put signs, shop Amherstburg all over the town. Somebody else had a bed and breakfast. So they were there for, they had their own agendas. Right. I had no agenda. Right. I just simply looked at it from the guy outside looking at the forest, you know, at people who couldn't see the forest for the trees. And they didn't have an answer. So over the next succeeding years, I kept on thinking, what does Amherstburg want to be? What should Amherstburg be? And I've had people say, Marty, you know, you can talk, maybe you can put Amherstburg on the map with what we want to be. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I developed a plan as what I thought Amherstburg would be. But through the years, I'd run into the mayor every now and then. I'd say, Mr. Mayor, how you doing? I like you. You seem to speak quietly and carry a big stick. I didn't know everything about Mayor Hearst, but he spoke quietly, carried a big stick in the town. And as long as he was going to run, there was no way that I had any interest at all in running for mayor of Amherstburg. But as we got to the last year, I kept saying, are you going to run? He wouldn't tell me until finally this past summer, I went to the mayor's speech on the state of Amherstburg, and I asked him before he even made his speech, are you going to be running or aren't you? And he says, Marty, you'll just have to wait to the end of the meeting. Yeah. And at the end of the meeting, he says, I'm not going to run anymore. And it was at that moment that I said, I'm going to run. Because the way things are happening in Amherstburg right now, I don't want anybody that's been on council to get back in. That's why I decided to run.
Now, did you ever come up with your own vision for Amherstburg?
I absolutely do have a vision for Amherstburg. If you want to get into that right now, I'd be happy to tell you, Dylan, what my vision is. Yeah. The vision that I've developed over the years is that Amherstburg is going to be, in my mind, not only a green community, but a retirement community, the retirement community in Canada. Now, why do I say that? Retirement has you can take retirement two ways. You can go to work in Windsor, go to work in Detroit, and you can come home to your family and retire for a nice evening in Amherstburg. Mm-hmm. All right? You don't have to be 80 years old to do it. Or when you are 80 years old and you want to retire, you come to Amherstburg to retire. Now, why do I say this? Because when you are marketing, everybody likes to advertise towards the 18 to 35 because they said, well, that's the market you want. You want that market, but not me. In 10 years, there are going to be more seniors coming into Canada or turning the age of seniordom than there are babies born in Canada. And in 40 years, Canada will have more senior citizens than any other age group. So seniors is a big part of the future here in Canada. The United Nations just last week, after 2 weeks ago talking with Obama and everything that's going on over with ISIS and what have you, the United Nations got into seniors. What about seniors? And they did a survey of 96 countries around the world. The number one country, I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think the number one country is to retire in around the world out of 96 that the United Nations did a survey on? Come up with a country.
Norway.
Denmark.
Yeah, close. No idea?
Sweden?
Oh, no, I said, yeah, Norway.
No, the answer was Norway. Very
Really?
good.
Good.
What is the worst country in the world to retire in?
Canada.
Iraq?
Close.
Oh.
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. Well, yeah,
Where does Canada stand? Out of 96, fourth, okay? We are fourth out of 96 countries, according to the United Nations, where you should retire. So why not make Amherstburg the retirement community of Canada? Now, having said that, in order to have it the retirement community, we have to have homes built in Amherstburg. I am not advocating jobs. Let them do that in Windsor to get the jobs. But where are all these jobs that Windsor mayors and the Windsor Council will bring into Windsor? Where are they going to live? They're going to live in Amherstburg. And that means residential development. And when you get to residential development, how do you have residential development? We've got a terrific new wastewater sewage treatment plant that is just, it is state of the art. It was mandated by the Ontario government.
We just haven't paid for it yet, though. Isn't that the problem? 47 million in debt. Like, how are we going to fix that problem?
I'll tell you that. Just let me get this out. That wastewater treatment plant, once it gets hooked up, okay, it has to get hooked up to the Edgewater system, because once that happens, I have a developer who has told me straight out to my face within the last 3 weeks, you hook that wastewater treatment plant up and I've got 800 lots that are going to come online. Once those 800 lots come online, people will be able to buy properties. Look what they're doing in LaSalle right now. They're selling properties left, right, and center. Amherstburg, I believe, nothing against LaSalle, I love them for what they're doing development-wise, but in Amherstburg, it's harder than heck for a developer to get anything done. Get that wastewater treatment plant all hooked up, 800 lots will come on. Also, remember the old, what was it, the Anderton Tavern?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's a property as you're coming in just before you reach Texas Road on Front Road. There's a property on the left-hand side of the road, and it's all empty now. A bunch of signs on there. There's water property. The Anderton Tavern used to be there. When you'd say meet you at the Anderton for business, that was the place to go. There is a man that owns that property, and he wants to develop that property. He can't do it because he can't get hooked up. The first thing you have to do, you get that hooked up, and once you get that hooked up, then residential development and development will occur. That's the development I want to see in Amherstburg.
Okay.
How are we going to pay for it?
Well, I don't know how we're going to pay for it. The town's 47 million in debt, but I guess first of all we have to get to, are you a serious mayoral candidate? Because hold on, I mean you put yourself in the race, and then like the deadline passed, you tried to get out of the race when Aldo DiCarlo threw his name in, but you were too late. You missed the deadline. They said tough luck, you're on the ballot. And I think you have one sign. I saw it the other day. It's amazing. It's a huge sign out on Front Road right near Texas Road, and it's got a great slogan, enough is enough. I love it. Kudos for that. But do you have signs? Are you spending money on this campaign? Are you really a serious mayoral candidate, or just a kind of a joke candidate?
Don, I'm glad you asked that question. I know how to get the job done, and I am a serious candidate. And I went in this because I didn't want the two previous council members to get in. I don't want Mr. Sutherland in there, and I don't want Mr. Sutton in there. With 2 days to go.
And why? Is this because they had to have known, like because the town is in such a mess, like someone has to bear some responsibility for this?
This all happened on their watch. Everything that, if you have any complaints about Amherstburg, all these complaints that you have happened while on their watch.
And I'm the resident. I moved in there last summer, and like a day later, boom, the bombshell drops.
That's
47
right.
million in debt, poor record keeping, lack of accountability, no transparency, trouble. Beautiful community, but some disquieting
news. It's not
news.
as bad as you think. And
Okay,
I will try to change that for you too. So let me get on to the flip-flop, okay?
Yeah, the flip-flop.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's a term you're going to hear an awful lot. Flip-flop, okay? That's the only thing they've got going against me right now. I have no skeletons in my closet. But anyway, with 2 days to go, they were the only two candidates, and I had made up my mind. I'm going. I'm running. I've got to beat these guys one way or another. They can't come back, and if anybody wants them back, then Amherstburg, you deserve what you get if they are back. So I declared my candidacy. A week later, I find out Aldo DiCarlo's coming in. All right, I take a look. I read his blogs. I read the information he's got. He's an impressive guy. He's got the right age. He's got a lot of things going about him. And when they say Marty said he's a nice Italian boy or guy, I also added he looks like he's one of the three tenors. I mean, he just looks like he could be a guy that everybody could endear themselves to. That is not a slant.
He's going to come on the show. We emailed him yesterday. He wants to come on. So Aldo, you're more than welcome.
That's good. And I'm glad. But anyway, so I contacted Ron Chiaffu at the Rivertown Times, and I said, Ron, I'm going to give you the scoop. It was on a Sunday night. I'm going to back out because I see that two guys with the same kind. we're both going to get slammed because we have no council experience.
Correct.
That's going to be the other side of the coin. Marty, you've got no council experience. How can you lead? Well, I'm a business guy. Aldo, you've got no council experience. How can you lead? He has his answers as well. And two guys splitting that vote is never going to get the other two guys out. Yeah. So I did what I thought was the honorable thing for Amherstburg. And I said, well, I'm going to back out because I don't want to split those votes. So I decided I would back out, doing the honorable thing for Amherstburg now. This isn't a flip-flop thing, and it wasn't meant to be flippant at all. And then I found out within 24 hours I couldn't do it. So I was back in. Star calls me and they say, what's the story? I give them the story I just gave you, and it's Adler flip-flops in the headline. Remember, I can always.
We're good at torquing things. That's what we do.
I know.
We're in the business of selling papers.
You know what I say about the Windsor Star and the media? You get it all right, but you also look at things as the glass being half empty, when I look at the things as being half full. So I'm back in, and I'm in it for the real thing.
You're in it to win it.
Absolutely, I'm in it. I may be 15 to 1 on the board.
That's what you're saying. Former horse track announcer, you're 15 to 1?
Look, I'm 15 to 1. I'm a 15 to 1 long shot, okay, to win the mayoralty candidacy, to win the mayor's position in Amherstburg. But let me tell you this, and you tell me if I'm wrong. If that 15 to 1 long shot comes in, you get paid off, don't you? And that's what's going to happen if I come in. You will get paid off. So,
okay.
Next question.
Okay, I guess do you only have one sign, or do you have other signs that you're putting up around the community?
Okay. This town is so cluttered right now, you can't read the sign as you're going, whoa, I have one sign, and I have it in the most strategic place
You
in
can't
town.
miss it. No, you can't miss
You
it.
can't, and I have it lit up at night. So, all right. So
Okay.
when you come to work, like you were here early. I mean, you must put in a day. So you come in early. I don't know if the sign was lit up when you came by. I may not have the timer correct. But anyway, I held a press conference, by the way, and I let the Star know about it. I said, Mr. Beneteau, I think I sent him. And you didn't show up. But it's okay. I mean, I had shrimp cocktail, I had lobster tail, I had filet mignon, and you didn't show up for that.
I wouldn't have eaten it anyway, Marty.
Well, I thought that's what media likes. They like going to the press conferences. So
Well, maybe
they
that's
can
what
have-
the CBC likes. So here at the Windsor Star,
There you
we
go.
like water
You
and
know the
crackers.
CBC. All right. Anyway.
Times are lean. But let me ask you this. So are you out knocking on doors?
Well, here's the thing. Let me start with the press conference. I had the
Enough
press.
about the press conference. Are you out knocking on doors?
No,
Why not?
because I have this thing about interrupting people at home. All right. I don't want to knock on their door and have somebody come to the door breastfeeding a baby, especially if it's a man. All right? So I don't want them coming to the door. I don't want them coming in their underwear. I don't want to be intruding on their space. But what I am doing, all right, I'm knocking on businesses. And I'm asking businesses to take my information, put it on their counters, so when their customers come in, customers knowing that they're out and they're about, and they're expecting to interact with people, they have a mindset, they're interacting, whether it's the business interacting with the customer or the other way, Marty Adler is going to be there. I've also talked to certain players in town to find out what they're thinking. It's not like I haven't found out what's going on in Amherstburg. It's just I don't want to intrude. How many people are running? How many knocks at the door are you getting? You need another guy coming to the door. Now, people are fascinated by me, I think. There's a bit of mystery about me. And you're going to get a chance to meet me on Thursday night.
Well, that's right. There's a sort of a candidate meet and greet organized by Jim Broderick at the Sportsman's Club on Low Side Road.
That's right. And they said that they invited everybody. I wasn't invited. So I contacted them. I said, why haven't I been invited? Well, you were. But I guess it must be that Amherstburg Mayoral. You know, it didn't get to me. It didn't get to me until after Jim Broderick came and visited me personally and invited me. So I'm definitely going to be there.
Okay.
And I'm really looking forward to meeting people. And I think people will get a better handle on what I'm all about when they do meet me, because I make sense. And if it doesn't make sense for Amherstburg, it's not going to happen.
All right,
Okay.
well, Marty, I'm sure we could talk all day, but unfortunately we're running out of time.
Out of time?
Any final words? Anything else you want to say?
All right, Amherstburg is not in such a bad shape as people make it out to be, all right? The problem with Amherstburg is the councilors haven't gotten the information out properly. There is no communication between the council and the administration. And by the way, you're going to hear some answers from me on candidates night that you're not going to believe. And that's why I'll leave you with a little tease. There are questions to be answered about the poison pill with the police. There's the question to be answered whether or not we should have taken the deal with Essex Power. There are some flip-flops in town that I'm going to tell you about. You think I'm a flip-flop? The flip-flop that I did had nothing to do with where Amherstburg stands today. My flip-flop doesn't affect you one iota, but there are flip-flops in this town which have affected you, and I'll bring out those flip-flops. In fact,
Sounds like a Jimmy Buffett song. Like, okay, anyway. Margaritaville. It's,
Margarita.
Yeah. A lot of flip-flops, but anyway, okay, you're going to tell us all of this stuff Thursday night. A lot of flip-flops, but just on Essex Power, because your answer on Essex Power was pretty unclear to me. It's like, if it makes us money, I'm for it. If it doesn't make us money, I'm not for it. But that's kind of taking both sides.
Okay, but let me give you a definitive answer then.
Yes.
Okay, now that I've done more research and I've checked into Mr. Phipps, I wasn't keen on Mr. Phipps in the beginning. I like this guy. A lot of people don't like him. I like Mike Phipps, let me tell you. He knows his business and he knows how to handle it. Anyway, here's my thing, and this is the big thing that hits me. We were offered $12 million for a property that is worth $8 million. Already, we're ahead of the game. That's first of all. Second of all, in order for Amherstburg to get that $12 million at $200,000 a year, which is a figure I didn't have, we're getting $200,000 a year. It would take us 60 years to get the $12 million. If you had $12 million right now and put it in the bank, even at 2%, you know, you're going to get $240,000 a year, not $200,000. I would have sold Essex Power and
Okay.
without any equivocation on that. All right, I would have sold it because 60 years to get what we could get right now today, and that could be applied to our debt. It could be applied to any number of things in Amherstburg, or just thrown in the bank and make more money. 14% is what we own of Essex Power. What can we do with 14% of any company? We don't have any control whatsoever. We're at the mercy of who owns Essex Power, and it isn't us. We just are shareholders. That's it. Take the money. Now, one last thing.
Okay. We gotta
$12
wrap it
million
up.
was what we were offered. It doesn't mean that we couldn't come back and say, well, you know what, I'd kind of like $15 million. You know,
Counteroffer, sure.
Why couldn't we have a counteroffer? Did we have a counteroffer? No, we didn't have that either. You would have if I was mayor.
Okay, boom. Marty Adler, you can see him Thursday night, next week at the Chamber Debates. Thanks for making the drive from Amherstburg. Enough is enough. We're in the Windsor Star News Cafe.